ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 33, Activities of Lord Kapila. So we are in the first section of this, where there are beautiful prayers of Devahūti, that she is offering prayers to Kapila Muni. Today is a very auspicious day. Today is appearance day of Srimati Radharani. So Srimati Radharani Ki Jai. So today is a very, very special day. It is like our mother's birthday. So Srila Prabhupada, he describes that we should worship Radha Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. Although Radha Krishna, their divine moods and mellows are vastly different, but being conditioned soul, being a new practitioner in bhakti-yoga, we should always have this mood of Radharani is our mother, and we should pray to Radharani for her blessings. Radharani's blessing, the personality of Radharani is very beautifully described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. We know that in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, there is hardly any shloka about Radharani. Couple of verses here and there, a very indirect reference. What is the reason? Because Shukadeva Goswami would have just fainted for practically 6 months just uttering the name Radha. And that's why he refrained from uttering the name. And he just refers to Radharani as a very special gopi, or the best of the gopi, like that it is. But Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, the love of Radharani and the amazing effect of Radharani's love towards Krishna. That even when the Lord, Supreme Lord, appears himself as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to taste the sweetness and the mellows that Radharani is tasting in her love towards Krishna. The second is the highest position of Srimati Radharani. Amongst the worshippers, the gopis are the best, and amongst the gopis, Radharani is the best. She is Vrindavaneshwari, right? Third is she is Ladhini Shakti. So Ladhini Shakti means, which is the pleasure potency of the Supreme Lord. That is Radhini Shakti. And she is non-separable than Krishna. There is like Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. So similarly, Radha and Krishna, they are like, and the fifth one is Paraspara Prema. Paraspara Prema means just like Radharani is Krishna conscious, Krishna is always Radha conscious. Okay. So we will recite few verses and offer our prayers to Srimati Radharani today, and then we will continue with Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So all these verses are from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela. Okay. Famous verses. So Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima
Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima
Idrusho Vanayo Swadhyaha
Idrushavanasayo Vadyaha
Yavan Madhurimam Prakrutirmadiya
Yavanya
Saukhyam Chasya Mat Anubhavataha
औक्यं चास्यः मद अनुभवतः
कीदृशं वा इति लोभात्
कीदृशं
वा इति लोभात्
तद्भाव आढ्यो सचीगर्भः
तद्भाव आढ्यो सचीगर्भः
शचिगर्भः
सिन्धौ हरिन्दु प्रादुरासीत्.
सिन्धौ अधः पार्द्वारेत्.
So I have Hindi this thing with me. श्री राधा रानी के प्रेम की महिमा कैसी है और उनके द्वारा आस्वादित मेरी मधुरिमा कैसी है और मेरे प्रेम का अनुभव करने से उन्हें जो सुख मिलता है वह कैसा है, इन सब को जानने की लालसा से उन भावों से पूर्ण होकर भगवान श्री कृष्ण सची माता के गर्भ सागर में चंद्रमा के समान प्रकट हुए. So this is the position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared? One of the internal reasons for appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to taste the love of Srimati Radharani and towards the Supreme Lord. Correct? The other verses are simple one. Krishner preyasi gopi
कृष्णेर प्रियसी गोपी
सर्वाधिका ईशते
सर्वाधिका ईशते
सार्वभौमा च कृष्ण प्रेम्णा
सार्वभौमा
कृष्ण
कृष्ण
सर्वा अधिकारिणी. So this gopi is Lord Krishna's most dearest and she rules Krishna Prema. So this is Sarva Krishna Premna Sarva Adhikarini. So now Radharani has the Ladini Shakti. Ladini Nama Shakti
लाधिनाम शक्तिः
Sarupat Syatah Ya Shakti Sarva Utkarshe
या
या
शक्तिः
शक्तिः सर्वोत्कर्षे
Krishna Anandayati Prabhum.
कृष्ण
कृष्ण आनंद इति प्रभुम्.
So Radharani is the Ladini Shakti of the Supreme Lord. She is Sukha Swarupa, always giving pleasure to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And she is the Sarva Utkarshe Krishna Anandayati Prabhum. जो शक्ति सर्वोत्कर्ष में कृष्ण को आनंदित करती है. Right. Now, how Radha and Krishna, they are one and not two. So this is the beautiful verse. राधा कृष्ण एक आत्मा दुई देहधर.
राधा
राधा कृष्ण एक आत्मा द्विदेहधारी.
राधा कृष्ण एक आत्मा दुई एकधर.
राधा कृष्ण एक आत्मा द्विदेहधार.
अनोन्य विलासे रस आस्वादन कर.
अनन्य विलासे रस आस्वादन कर.
अनोन्य विलासे रस आस्वादन कर.
अनन्य विलासे रस आस्वादन कर.
So she is Radha and Krishna is like one body, one Atma in two bodies. Okay. So परस्पर विलास में रस आस्वादन करते हैं. And then how Radharani, the potency of Śrīmati Radharani, beautiful verse. Krishna Kanta Gana Mukhya.
कृष्ण कांता गण मुख्या.
1 second. This is different tune. कृष्ण कांता गणा मुख्या वृंदावनेश्वरी.
कृष्ण कांता गण मुख्या वृंदावनेश्वरी.
सर्वगुणैरतिशायिनी सा राधा परदेवता.
सर्वगुण अतिशायिनी
सा राधा परदेवता.
सा राधा परदेवता.
So like this, Chaitanya Charitamrita very beautifully elaborates Radharani and Radharani's love towards the Supreme Lord. Recently, I heard such a one unfortunate, when I was just scrolling through YouTube, I heard very unfortunate title that how Radharani doesn't exist. And this is not something a new phenomena. Somebody was speaking in Marathi this lecture. How Radharani doesn't exist anywhere. And then devotees have given hundreds of references of Radharani, not only in the Shruti, Smriti, even in the Shruti mantras also. Right. So today is a very auspicious day. And we should take this opportunity to pray to Srimati Radharani that we will be really very focused in our Krishna consciousness. Jai Sri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki Jai.
Jai.
So we come to text 5. Tvam deha tantram prashamaya papmanam nidesha bhajam cha vibho vibhutaye yathavatara tava sukaradayah tatha ayamyapi atmapatha upalabdhaye. Translation.
My dear Lord, you have assumed this body in order to diminish the sinful activities of the fallen and to enrich their knowledge in devotion and liberation. Since these sinful people are dependent on your direction, by your own will, you assume incarnations as a boar and as other forms. Similarly, you have appeared in order to distribute transcendental knowledge to your dependents. Purport. In the previous verses, the general transcendental qualifications of the Supreme Personality of Godhead were described. Now, the specific purpose of the Lord's appearance is also described. By his different energies, he bestows different kinds of bodies upon the living entities who are conditioned by their propensity to lord it over material nature. But in the course of time, these living entities become so degraded that they need enlightenment. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that whenever there are discrepancies in the discharge of the real purpose of this material existence, the Lord appears as an incarnation. The Lord's form as Kapila directs the fallen souls and enriches them with knowledge and devotion so that they may go back to Godhead. There are many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like those of the boar, the fish, the tortoise, and the half man, half lion. Lord Kapiladeva is also one of the incarnations of Godhead. It is accepted herein that Lord Kapiladeva appeared on the surface of the earth to give transcendental knowledge to the misguided conditioned souls. Hare Krishna.
Now, Devahūti further prays that, my dear Lord, you appear for various purposes. And this is one of the very important part of the prayer, that why you appear, oh my dear Lord. And we have seen that Kunti Maharani praying very similarly, that my dear Lord, why do you appear? Vidambanam, there are beautiful series of shlokas. So here, Devahūti says that you appear to diminish the sinful activities of the fallen. Second, to enrich them with the knowledge of devotion and liberation. And third, to distribute transcendental knowledge to your dependents. So for these three reasons, my dear Lord, you appear. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada describes that in the previous verse, there were the general transcendental qualifications of the Supreme Lord. Now there are specific purpose for the appearance of the Supreme. Why the Supreme Lord is appearing. So we know that in the due course of time, sakale neha mahata yogo nashtaha parantapa, that the transcendental knowledge, and this is the nature of the material world, in the due course of time, everything is lost. So similarly, the transcendental knowledge is lost, and therefore the Lord appears time to time. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanihi. Dharmasya glani means loss of the transcendental knowledge. Right? So the Lord appears, and he appears in many incarnations. Rama dimurti shukala niyamena tishtan. Here he appears as Lord Kapila to give transcendental knowledge to the misguided, conditioned souls. Text 6. Beautiful verse. We will recite this verse. Yannamadheya Shravananukirtanat Yat Prabhurunati Yat Smaranadapi Kvachit Shvadopi Sadhya Savanaya Kalpate Punaste Bhagavan Darshanat. Take this one more. Very beautiful verse. This is Yannamadheya Shravananukirtanan Yat प्रहरणात् यत् स्मरणादपि क्वचित्
यत्प्रहवनादयत्स्मरणादपि क्वचित्
स्वादोऽपि सद्यः सवनाय कल्पते
स्वादोऽपि सद्यः सवनाय कल्पते
कुतः पुनस्ते भगवन्नुदर्शनात्
कुतः पुनस्ते भगवन्नुदर्शनात्
One more time. यन्नामधेय श्रवणानुकीर्तनात्
यन्नामधेया श्रवणानुकीर्तनात्
प्रहरणाद् यत् स्मरणादपि क्वचित्
यत्प्रहवनादयत्स्मरणादपि क्वचित्
स्वादोऽपि सद्यः सवनाय कल्पते
स्वादोऽपि सद्यः सवनाय कल्पते
कुतः पुनस्ते भगवन्नुदर्शनात्
कुतः पुनस्ते भगवन्नुदर्शनात्
Translation: to say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face, even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or chants about him, bears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. Purport: hearing the spiritual potency of chanting, hearing or remembering the holy name of the Supreme Lord is greatly stressed. Rupa Goswami has discussed the sequence of sinful activities of the conditioned soul, and he has established in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu that those who engage in devotional service become freed from the reactions of all sinful activities. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. The Lord says that he takes charge of one who surrenders unto him, and he makes him immune to all reactions to sinful activities. If by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes so swiftly cleared of all reactions to sinful activities, then what is to be said of those persons who see him face to face? Another consideration here is that persons who are purified by the process of chanting and hearing become immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. Generally, only a person who is born in a family of Brahmanas, who has been reformed by the 10 kinds of purificatory processes, and who is learned in Vedic literature is allowed to perform the Vedic sacrifices. But here the word sadaya, immediately, is used, and Sridhara Swami also remarks that one can immediately become eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. A person born in a family of the low caste, which is accustomed to eat dogs, is so positioned due to his past sinful activities, but by chanting or hearing once in pureness or in an offenseless manner, he is immediately relieved of the sinful reaction. Not only is he relieved of the sinful reaction, but he immediately achieves the result of all purificatory processes. Taking birth in the family of a Brahmana is certainly due to pious activities in one's past life. But still, a child who is born in a family of Brahmana depends for his further reformation upon initiation into acceptance of a sacred thread and many other reformatory processes. But a person who chants the holy name of the Lord, even if born in a family of Chandalas, dog eaters, does not need reformation. Simply by chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, he immediately becomes purified and becomes as good as the most learned Brahmana.
Yeah, it's
Sridhara
a
Swami.
long verse. We will take
Yes,
in two
Prabhu.
pictures.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Beautiful verse this is. Yannama Dheya Shravananukirtana. This and the next verse, where Devahūti is going to glorify the holy names of the Supreme Lord in a big, big, big way. These are like benchmark verses of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Yannamadheya Shravananukirtanat Yat Praharanat Yat Smaranat Apit Kvachit. Shvadopi, one who is a dog eater, Sadhya Savanaya Kalpate Kutah Punaste Bhagavannu Darshanat. So she's saying, to say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Lord face to face, even a person born in the dog eater's family immediately becomes eligible. Look at the contrast. Look at the extremes and contrast, right? What is the extreme? Extremely degraded becomes extremely qualified. And the time process, immediately. Three things here, right? Three extremes are here. Extremely degraded becomes extremely qualified immediately. Dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform the Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. This is the potency of bhakti. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that herein the spiritual potency of chanting, hearing, and remembering the holy name of the Supreme is greatly stressed. There is a great spiritual potency in performing our daily spiritual activities. Yesterday, I was discussing with one devotee, and he comes from a Jain background. And he was telling me that even within Jains, there are one particular section, they are Mandir Margi, people. They will not begin their day, they will not eat anything or drink water before going to temple and taking darshan. Right? So, what to speak of we devotees going to temple. Like, today, Radhashtami day, our temple hall, practically every temple hall of ISKCON temples would be kachakach, full jam-packed. End to end, everywhere you will see devotees only. Why? Because there is a spiritual potency of chanting, hearing, and remembering the holy names of the Supreme Lord is being greatly stressed. Rupa Goswami has given the sequence of sinful activities of the conditioned souls in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. But those who engage in devotional service, all their sinful activities are gradually diminished. Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhaja. This is very important. Sometimes we may get enamored by too much of a yoga covering us, sometimes astrology covering us, sometimes palmistry covering, sometimes graphology covering. But one should never underestimate the potency of devotional service. Devotional service is extremely powerful. That one can actually karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. One can completely eradicate all one's karma by performing tivrena bhakti yogena. To the degree our bhakti is tivra. Tivra bhakti means consistent bhakti. Right. To the degree our bhakti is consistent, and to the degree we are following Vaishnava etiquettes, to that degree one will be completely eradicating one's karma. Karmani nirdahati. Srila Prabhupada says this is not only confirmed in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, this is also confirmed in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. That one becomes completely freed from the reactions of all sinful activities by performance of devotional service. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchah. And there Lord Kṛṣṇa is personally taking the responsibility, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchah, and giving the assurance to living entity. This is how the devotional service makes devotee immune to all sinful activities, provided the devotional service is intense and ahaituki and apratihata. To the degree the devotional service is pure, to that degree one is completely immune to one's past previous activities. And this devotional service can be performed by remembering the Lord, by chanting his name, by hearing about him. And then what to speak of those who are seeing the Lord face to face. Right. Of course, there is no difference between remembering the Lord and seeing the Lord. But still, what is to be said of those who are seeing you, my dear Lord, face to face? Srila Prabhupada says another consideration here is that persons become immediately purified by the process of hearing and chanting. Whereas a Dashagranthi Brahmana has to undergo the purificatory processes of samskara, that the 10 kinds of different samskaras, and then slowly he will become qualified to perform Vedic sacrifice. A devotee of the Lord, by chanting intensely the holy name, immediately becomes qualified. And therefore, there are three extremes being discussed here. The dog eaters immediately becomes qualified to perform Vedic sacrifices. Right. Of course, the mood of a devotee is not that I am chanting, I am qualified. That is not the mood of the devotee. Mood of the devotee later will be very beautifully described by Prahlad Maharaj in the prayers of Prahlad. He is calling himself as Aham Ugra Jate. I am coming from a very Ugra Jati, my dear Lord. What can I pacify you? That is not the mood of the devotee. But here it is the potency of devotional service. Srila Prabhupada says, look at the word Sadhya, means immediately. Immediately means one becomes immediately qualified to perform the Vedic sacrifice. And especially in our parampara, devotees, our acharyas have given, they have staked literally everything to practice this and prove this. In fact, the Smartha community were so angry with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was giving Brahman initiations to anyone and everyone. And just imagine a period where it was like 120 years ago, where the caste system was very prominent in India. And that time Siddhanta Saraswati was qualifying anyone and everyone to be a Brahmana and giving them the sacred thread. And it became so much so that there was a threat to the life of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Even Srila Prabhupada, when he was, and Prabhupada and Siddhanta Saraswati and Srila Prabhupada, they always based all their arguments on this, this particular verse of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and subsequent verses. That anybody from any condition in life can become extremely qualified by simply chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the potency of chanting the holy names of the Supreme Lord. Further, Srila Prabhupada writes that one not only is relieved from sinful reactions, that is the one thing, that is the side effect, but one becomes immediately achieves the results of all the samskara. And which all samskara he achieves the results, that will be, proclaimed by Devahūti in the very next verse. Aho bachvapachoto. Shapachoto is the dog eater, and dog eater is taken as a reference point, where the lowest of the low can become the greatest of great Brahmana simply by the process of devotional service. And that also immediately sadhya. Srila Prabhupada says taking a good birth, righteous birth in a family of samskaras or birth in a rich family, these are coming from the previous activities, right? So these are considered to be the pious activities of one's past life. But still, a child has to undergo the purificatory processes to become qualified. However, here, a person who chants the holy names of the Lord, even if he may come from the family of the Chandala or a dog eater, does not need any further reformation. Why? Because in Kali Yuga, it is very difficult to find even those kinds of priests who will be qualified to do samskara. That doesn't mean that we reject everything, but that does mean that bhakti is extremely powerful and we should perform intense devotional service. Okay, this is to glorify bhakti more. And thus he immediately becomes purified and becomes as good as the most learned Brahmana. And this is how Advaita Acharya, he gave the Agra Puja man to Namacharya Haridas Thakur. Although he came from the Mlench family, Yamana family, Haridas Thakur, but he was still treated at par as the topmost of the Brahmana who has realized the essence of all Vedic literatures. So today again come back to prayers to Srimati Radharani. Today is a very auspicious day. We should pray for the mercy of Srimati Radharani, and we'll conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakti ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, yes.
Today is our sport is the second birthday of our sport class.
Sport, second birthday of what, Mataji?
Bhagavatam.
Started on
Began
Radhashtami.
Acha, we started Radhashtami 2 years back. Oh, jai. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So please pray for our sport initiative. Let us pray for each other that we continue. This is just the first revision. It will take 7-8 years to complete Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Now in 2 years, we are completing 3 cantos. Now we have some reference point now. Okay. So almost third canto is over. So 2 years, 3 cantos means 12 canto means 8 years. Yeah, 8 years is our cycle. And we want to have multiple cycles like this. In each cycle, we will include different things like commentary of the Acharyas and everything else. And Srila Prabhupada is always nourishing us. So please pray for this sport initiative also. Pray for each other. Please pray for me also that we will continue this seva without any hindrance, without any gross or subtle pride. Simply being the reading every day and releasing whatever Srila Prabhupada wants to dictate. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for reminding this. Hare Krishna.
Guruji, thank you. Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you,
Hare
everyone.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Prabhupada.